If you want to stand out as an online coach in 2026, don't sell a result, sell an identity. So I've had loads of conversations lately of coaches trying to improve their content and make it stand out. So as you know, like January, big rush, everybody is chasing down the big result, right? It's the biggest month in fitness. And people want to stand out, okay? They don't want to blend into the crowd. They want to show that their service is better than everyone else's. So how do you get there? Well, most people are looking for what's the difference between like benefits and features. So like, not just why does somebody want to lose fat? Like, because you sell fat loss, right? You sell the mechanism of like losing fat, building muscle, getting in shape, right? And then we move from that stage on to the next stage, which is like building confidence, which is feeling better for a holiday or a wedding or prepping. You know, like you've gone from selling the feature of fat loss, muscle building, to selling the benefit, which is feeling better on your holiday, right? But then we go one step further, okay? And this is a tough sell because the identity is what you always need, okay? So when you're trying to sell a product on identity, what you're really selling is aspiration. So you're not selling a product because it's a product. You're selling a product because of what it says about the person. 9 times out of 10, people don't want to get in shape because they want the scales to say a different number, right? Or they want to fit into smaller clothes. They want to be the person who steps on the scales proud of what they say and who looks at themselves with that top on and feels good about that, or who fits into certain size of clothing because in their brains they associate the identity of that with being a better person. And whether you agree with that or not, as the person, as the coach, or the person who's selling the product, right? Whether you agree with that or not, if that is how the audience think, then why couldn't you sell that to them? And this is the problem a lot of people have, right? Because they will try to sell a product to the new identity, forgetting that the old identity still exists. So when you're selling a transformation, as much as it's a physical transformation, what the person's really looking for is more intrinsic, right? They're not looking for a transformation that looks great on the outside and that's it. They're looking to become somebody who has that body, right? Because the body isn't really the goal, right? The goal is to be the person with the body, right? Because men, for example, right? Men who are in shape, when they've got the top off, right? People look at them and think, fucking hell, they look good. And then they just imagine what their life is going to be like, right? Because women look at them different and because people take them more seriously because they're in shape, because they show that they've got that discipline, right? And when you're trying to get in shape or you're trying to sell the idea of getting in shape, you're not selling the process, right? You're selling the end result. And the end result isn't the body. The end result is what it feels like to be in that body. So for an example, right, I spoke to a coach the other day and she coaches women, right? And the whole thing about women is, the whole thing about her women is that she's trying to coach them from being in a masculine, career-driven, tired, drained, low-energy state to being a feminine, leader, confident, proud, and happy state, right? So she's not selling weight loss, right? She's selling being, the word she uses, magnetic, being that magnetic being who is proud, happy, and confident of what they've done with their body because they are the person who embodies that feeling and that look and that desire to be them. What you're doing realistically is you're not selling weight loss because this person here on the current feeling and identity doesn't really give a shit, right? Because they want to be this person. They don't want to be this person who is overweight, who is tired, who is miserable. They want to be the person who is happy, confident, and energetic. They don't give a shit really what it takes to get there because they know that's the feeling that they desire, right? And as humans, we quite often, we're very aware that people don't buy with logic, they buy with emotion and feeling, okay? But we rarely try and kind of optimize the sales process for the feeling. Because if you can go from selling fat loss, weight loss, looking better, feeling better, confidence, wedding preps and holiday preps, if you can go from that, which is selling an outcome, to selling the identity, which is the genuine outcome and the feeling, right? If you can get people to visualize that change, then that is where the real aspiration comes in. Because realistically, like there are two types of sale, right? There's the necessity, there's the my health is fucked and I really need to make a change kind of sale. The same reason that you buy like bog roll and toothpaste, okay? It needs to happen because it's a necessity. And then there's the aspirational purchases. The reason that people, instead of buying like a 20 quid watch from Argos, they'll go out and buy a Rolex, right? Because they want to be the person who has these things. and who embodies that and feels that level of success. So find out who your clients are now, who they want to be, and position your service as the vehicle to get them from A to B. And if you need a hand with that, drop me a message and let me know.